Hey, what's up, Facebook? Dr. Sean J. Harris here, and Tara's with me. Want to talk to y'all. I just got the phone with a very dear friend of mine, and you guys know that we're always talking about legacy and being able to create generational wealth, being able to have your affairs in order, having a private family banking system. But I saw a buddy of mine. We've been friends now for 15 plus years. And he's one of those guys that sometimes he's on social media, sometimes he's not. So he popped back up on the scene, and I just hit him up and said, "Hey, bro, where you been? I hadn't seen you in a while." And he didn't respond right then. And then I noticed later on that day, this was yesterday, later on in the day, I saw he started posting pictures. And I read the caption, and his wife had passed. And my buddy, he and I were the same age. He just turned 50. She was 36. 36, guys. A lot of times we always think, tomorrow's promised. We always got time. But I saw stuff he started posting. They're a blended family. So I guess what I want to talk about is having your affairs in order. And one thing with doing that is you gotta have your wills, your trust, all this stuff in place. Terry and I are working on a project right now where let me tell you first, I'm on book number 36 now. All of my books were not designed for sale. They're all love letters to my kids. They just happen to turn into books that I share with the rest of the world. But the next book that we're writing right now is for our family. It's not getting disseminated. We haven't made any plans to disseminate it, but it's pretty much a blueprint and guide to everything concerning life. So you want to share with them, love, kind of what that project is?
It's a book. It's the Harris Family Legacy. That's what I'm naming it, because a lot of people think that we have time, and we don't. We don't know how much time we have. And the last thing I would want to do is for one of us or both of us, because a lot of times, people think you leave one at a time. It could happen together, and I wouldn't want to leave our kids, not knowing what to do or not knowing what the next step is. So I want this book to tell them, okay, when you're choosing a spouse, when you're choosing a business, when you're building wealth, when you're getting insurance, when you're putting your assets away, how you do that, and not only for yourself, how you teach the next generation to do it.
Yeah. When it comes to wills and trust and being able to have your advanced directives together, that's super important. Me and my buddy, we were just talking, and I wanted to say his name so bad because that's just the way I talk. So I'm trying to keep his privacy as it is, but he shared something with me, and it just really broke my heart. And, we had our what you call it? Our
bromance.
Our bromance conversation, and he just broke down in the middle of us talking everything. But something that really hurt me in my core was when he started talking about his kids. They got a blended family. She has 3 kids prior to the marriage. He had 2 kids prior to the marriage, and the other 3 kids that were her biological kids had to go back to the father. And thankfully they got a good relationship where they kind of stay in the same neighborhood and they can still see the kids and everything. But see, these are things that we don't think about a lot of times. If something happens, what happens to your kids, particularly if you have a blended family? So that's why it's important to have the advanced directives. And his biological kids, they're I think they're like 19, 20, so they're kind of in and out of the house kind of thing. But he just told me, he said, "Man, it's just me and the dog here." So can you imagine having a wife and 5 kids combined down to just you and a dog overnight? And he was not expecting her to pass. It was something that came about very suddenly. She passed in her sleep. But these are the things that we gotta think about. You gotta have discussions with your family. Make sure your insurance policy is in place, which his was. He had all his affairs in order, but that doesn't substitute for the loss of the loved one. That's just one kind of less thing you gotta worry about that gives you time to grieve. But just imagine being in a situation where you're trying to grieve and you don't have your affairs in order. See, all that is a part of generational wealth. When I come on here and do videos, I put up images and so forth. It's not for the fun of it. It's not just me having something to do. I'm trying to empower each one of you who may not be in a position or have positioned yourselves to win through generations and to have your affairs in order. That's why we do this stuff, you know. And we're doing it as we're going through the process. We're teaching people how to do it. I've been heavy on private family banking systems since the beginning of 2022 because it's that important. I wrote a best-selling book on it called Understanding Private Family Banking System. I have a course on it, Family Private Banking Systems. It's something that is not taught in schools. It's not taught in our culture that looks like us in particular, but other cultures are dominating and using that tool as a resource to create wealth and to be able to maneuver your money differently and to be able to accumulate and build wealth for subsequent generations. Because it doesn't take 2 and 3 generations to build wealth. You can do that in 1 generation. Imagine if everyone had a policy on grandma. You know, we're all gonna pass. So let's get past all that emotional stuff. You're gonna die. So it only makes sense to have a policy in place where everyone in your family can benefit. Imagine for all you guys who got grandkids out there. If you got 4 or 5 grandkids, what if they all had a $250,000 policy or a half policy, which is a $500,000 policy? Imagine how much that would benefit them moving forward in future generations. So we got to get out of that selfishness because other cultures don't do that. I'm talking to my folks right now. Other cultures don't do that. Get out of that dumb mentality. My best buddy I'm talking about now, he don't look like me. See, he understands that he had all this stuff in play. So all that is taken care of. Now he has time to grieve and to be able to do what he needs to do for his family. So as we're moving through this year, it's time to man up, woman up, put on your big boy and big girl underwear and handle business. Handle your financial business. Handle your estate, your affairs. Tara had a classmate that passed, about a month ago or something like that. Same thing there. The wife had only been married to him for a couple, 2-3 years, but she's making decisions that went against what he said, but he didn't have in writing. We're both military people. So we understand if it's not documented, it don't exist. But he publicly said it in a podcast how he wanted his affairs to go if something ever happened to him. And lo and behold, a month later, he passed. But did anything happen the way that they wanted it to? Nope. That wife of 2 or 3 years came in and changed everything. Kind of blocked out a lot of the family members. Family members couldn't even attend ceremony, stuff like that. So this is why it's important to have your affairs in order. Have your asset holdings accounted for. Because if you don't, that stuff is going into probate. And that stuff get tied up in probate for years while your family is trying to figure out how they're going to cope and manage. So take time out and figure out what it is you need to do to put your finances in order and just really start thinking about the next generation. See, a lot of people run around and they spit out the platitudes of generational wealth when they really don't understand what generational wealth is. Generational wealth is, in fact, teaching the next generation to teach the subsequent generation financial literacy, how to have business acumen, financial literacy, all this stuff. It all comes together. It's not just about money when we say generational wealth. It's about the mindset that comes with it. Because you can take a person who doesn't understand money, you got a person who does understand money, and reverse the roles. Well, within 12 to 18 months, the roles will reverse back. The person who didn't have the money mindset will end up back where they were. And the person who you took all their money from them, they'll end up back in the same financial strong place in which they were before the transaction took place. So it's all about mindset. Anything you want to say, dear, as we close out?
You don't have all day. You don't have all year. You don't have a lifetime the lifetime that you think you have. Let's go.
Yep. Time is really running out. And I hope that this message is resonating and that this message doesn't ring in your head after it's happened to you. And it's just ringing. Sean told me to get it in order, and I didn't. Don't be that one. 3 kind of people. Those that make it happen, those that watch it happen, those wonder what the hell just happened. So get it together, y'all. We ain't on here posting for the fun of it. Y'all take care.